Hi, welcome back to Lead Automation. Hi, welcome back to the Lead Automation YouTube channel. I'm Malachi, CEO of Lead Automation, engineer of Lead Automation at Lead Automation, whatever, however you want to call it. Today, we're going to go into some MiR programming, mission programming. So MiR programming is referred to as mission programming. That's just their terminology of how they go about coining that term of programming. We're going to go ahead and jump into this thing. And right now we're at the dashboard, and we are going to go ahead and go into the setup menu, as you see right there, missions. So we'll click into this missions, and then it'll take a second to load because everything's web-based and the processor on the MiR is not the fastest. So here are a bunch of different programs that are already inside of the MiR. One thing I want to point out here that there's a bunch of different programs, and notice I'm hovering over this one right here. It's because you want to make sure you're editing the right program. So what we're going to do is going back into the dashboard. Now this is an Lead Automation dashboard which we have created, but right here is where it says that what program we're running, and this is where we just put our main program. So this is something that we know. So wherever you put your main program on your dashboard, that's what you need to look at, but that's where we have ours. So this name right here matches. We're going to click on the edit tool icon and come into the actual mission programming logic. So just kind of just take a gander here. You have different commands here, like as you can see it says like set IO, set IO, loop for, move to, and a bunch of other commands, relative move, waits. So I'm going to go ahead and go through a little bit of this process. So basically we're moving from one position to another. So we're saying move to, press 30, and then we're saying a relative move. And so with the MiR, one thing with a relative move, you have to use a relative move to get close to stuff. If you do a regular move, it will use its vision sensors and whatnot. It will see things around it as an obstacle, and if it sees an obstacle, it won't be able to go to that area. You want to go close to the object, say within about like 3 feet or so, and do that with a regular move type. Then you want to go into a relative move, so that way you can essentially turn off its sensors and move X amount of distance towards the approach point that you're trying to go to. And from there, we're going to set an IO point saying, hey, we're at the location. We're going to wait for a handshake back saying, hey, here you go. Then we're going to say, wait. Then we're going to have it wait for a period of time until the part indexes to the machine. And then we're going to continue that process kind of back and forth. I'm not going to continue down through all the logic. We're going to go ahead and dive into this move here. This one right here is just a traditional move, so we're going to move to Elite Conveyor, which is a conveyor that we installed. So come over here to your cog, and that right there is your settings cog, and kind of opens up the different parameters within the command. So here is all the positions that you have to choose from. So now you have to teach these positions basically. So the way that this works is kind of like if you've done anything with like a FANUC robot where you have like a position register, every position has to be stored as like a position register before it can be used in the command. So retries just basically means that the robot will try to get to that position 10 times before it says, hey, I can't do it. Alright, so the distance threshold is basically setting the tolerance for how close you want to be to your object. Now with this, it's only set, the highest you can go is 0.1 meters, which is still still quite a bit of distance. So these things don't have super high accuracy. So if you need to do some super high accuracy, you're going to have to pair this thing with a robot and vision system. And it goes up to, you can be 3 meters off, which is a crazy amount. I don't know any application that you'd be able to get away with being 3 meters off with your threshold. But I just wanted to point that out, that this does have a threshold. So now we're going to go over into here, into this relative move, and kind of show you some of the different settings within it. We're going to click our cog, and then we are going to Notice that you have different speeds, angular speed. Really the most important thing is kind of your X, Y, and your orientation. Linear speed and all that, you don't have to really mess with too much. Generally those kind of stay the same for the most part. But basically all this is in meters, by the way, so 0.7 meters. These are very straightforward and simplistic. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go into the set IO port. So we're going to set the actual internal IO ports on the MiR. Now here's where you can change the module. So you can, the other two modules are what's called a WISE module, which are wireless modules. Then the MiR internal is IO points that are on the MiR. I believe they have like 4 IO points or something like that. Don't quote me on that because I don't recall offhand. But then you can do stuff like put a PLC on it and do a lot of processing on an onboard PLC if you need extra IO points. And you can even get creative with it and add a wireless hub onto it and even do like remote IO, do like point IO with Allen Bradley, and use like a Wi-Fi router if you can get away with it, if your customer's okay with it, and have a ton of capabilities at that point. Okay, so the SMTP port basically is the IO point that you're wanting to talk to. So if you have 4 ins or 4 outs, basically if you say 0, you're talking to your output number 1 or output number 0, however you want to call it. So that'll talk to your first point, and then if you have a 1, it'll talk to your second point. You have a 2, you talk to your third point, so on. I'm sure you've worked with other automation stuff that works like that as well, where the 0 is the start point. Then the operation, you're basically just saying, hey, you can turn this thing off or on. Yeah, so you can see right here in this description, it calls out exactly what it is. Now, you can either have this turn on for X amount of seconds, or you can turn it on and then turn it back off later. So here's kind of where it just says, hey, this is how long you're leaving it on. You can even set this to variables and whatnot if you want to do. So forever, click forever if you want to. So here is an IO module that is a WISE module. It's the same thing. Really nothing's different between this one, between the internal and wireless modules. We should be coming out with a video where we're setting up the WISE modules, which is very important. It's very easy, but there can be complexity with it if you're not used to doing any type of networking or anything like that. One thing I will say is the naming is very sensitive, so everything has to be cap sensitive and whatnot. Alright, so hopefully that quick little overview of how the programming works and the overall kind of process. I just want to give you a quick overview, a quick glimpse of how the MiR's user interface looks like, especially when it comes to programming a mission. This was not a super deep in detailed video about how to really program a MiR. I think that this was enough exposure that anybody with some experience would be able to do that. But yeah, this is just a good overall video for being able to get some exposure to what it looks like, so that way you're not going into this thing blind, and not having to learn all the different terminologies as far as relative move, and some of these are very self-explanatory and common terms used with other systems. But if you've only programmed in one particular thing, like if you've only programmed in PLC or if you only programmed in Fanic Robot, there'll be some stuff that doesn't really connect and doesn't link up in your brain. So yeah, hopefully the exposure to this video was good. Let me know if you have any questions below. Maybe we can come out with something. We try to come out with videos like this as much as possible when we have our hands-on equipment. Whenever it's new equipment and equipment that I think that the overall industry will find useful. So I'll catch y'all in the next one.
Anything I want now, I bring it to fruition. I'm my own boss now, I make my own decisions. I do not agree to the terms and conditions. I don't never follow other people, I just follow intuition.